Blog Talk Radio.
For the next couple of hours, join us as we explore the imagination, the intuition, the inner realm, the inner world, winding our way into our discovery of the fifth dimension. What it is, what it means, how it looks, how it feels. Discovering new, broader perspectives of life as humans on the earthly plane. A journey within, a journey into a new yet ancient frontier, a journey into a new world, a new paradigm, a journey into the heart. A journey into consciousness, the journey of our lifetimes. This is your captain speaking. Please now watch your temperature graph. Say hello to your friends, loved ones, beings of all energetic origins, of this world and without. Say hello to the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Sirians. Say hello to the energy Jestals that have sent their love into the human world since before the beginning. Say hello to those that are our guides and teachers, our angels, our future and past selves. Say hello to the well-wishers from the known universe and beyond. Please place your mind and hearts in their most advantageous and comfortable positions. Allow reason to go exist with intuition, with inspiration, and join me in the discovery of more and more of ourselves. I promise you a journey unlike any other. Let us explore together the mystical, the amazing, the magnificent of heart-based living in the fifth dimension. Welcome to the Consciousness Evolution Hour with your host, Philip Malika. And a fine good evening to you all on this wonderful Thursday night. This is Philip Malika. This is the Consciousness Evolution Hour on the ENlightenment Evolution Network. So pleased to be here, so pleased to have a show tonight. We've got a very special guest. This man is the poet in residence for our Consciousness Evolution 2.0 Facebook group. And as he says, the poet who gives a shit. And a confirmed sociopath who is about to begin a world peace march from Colorado to the West Coast, Jason B. Intricate Brierly. Jason will be discussing his journey that brought him to this point, his books of poetry, and the World Peace March, and what we can do to get involved and either be there in spirit or send help and resources or actually join them on the march. And I know Jason is a man on the move right now. I believe he's in Denver, so we're going to go ahead and bring him on, and so that he can get on with his evening. And we have you on air. Are you there, Jason?
Yeah, how's it going, man?
Oh, awesome. How are you tonight?
Oh, I'm excellent. We actually drove down to Colorado Springs from Denver to see some friends, and we're eating up the scenery, man. It's a magical fucking place, man.
Ah, great. Sounds wonderful. So you just went there this week, right?
Yeah, we left, what was it, last night? Yeah, we left last night. I left Wichita, Kansas from last night, and we hit Denver at, I don't know, about 3 a.m. But yeah, we got up and went out and checked out the city and drove down to Colorado Springs. I'm psyched to get this going, man. We're already starting to talk to people about the movement. We really like the... Huh?
A road trip.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be the road trip of road trips. We're gonna be building momentum as we go. We're gonna be walking through cities. Like I'm making it a point that we can try to have some cash on hand. That way, when we go into the cities, we can like help out the homeless people and get them stuff to eat. Give them spending cash or whatever, just to help them out. And like. As we walk through the cities, man, we're going to be shaking people's hands and giving genuine smiles because everyone involved in this march is, like, deeply serious and spiritual, and they understand the validity of this. And the really true way to really be able to wrap your head around it is to, be happy. So, like, when people are happy, they can spread their general happiness with everyone else. And, like, give someone a genuine smile, some random stranger a genuine smile, and watch what happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, you give someone a genuine smile, and naturally happy people are around sad people. The sad people tend to smile, genuine smiles, because it's contagious.
It is, and it's magical. Positive energy so far outweighs negative energy, and anytime we can spread something like that, it just ripples out from us across the universe. So
hey,
I
love is the driving force in the universe.
Say that again?
I said love is the driving force in the universe.
You bet
love
it is.
Love is truly the most powerful driving force in the universe.
Yeah.
Because you unlock your love, you learn there's... Oh, man, it's beyond words. You already know, it's beyond words.
I love that you're embracing the new paradigm and you're just going out there and doing it. And we're going to see so much more of that. So many more people are going to start to get involved in ways of just following their heart. And I love that you're doing that. So tell us about the peace movement.
Man, like, it's going on all over. It's going on all over. There's people demonstrating in Australia, people demonstrating in Jordan, Islamabad, Kenya, just all throughout Africa. People are being called to arms by their mother, I think. I think that the planet is waking us up and saying, hey, you guys better cool your shit or I'm going to kick you the fuck off. So these people are awakening and they're starting to come to their senses, and it's like, whoa, hold on, there's something really seriously wrong here. And it's happening all over the world. That's part of the paradigm shift. Like, we're shifting into the next dimension, and I've been reading on it, man, and it's something spectacular. They're saying that it resembles heaven on earth. So I'm dedicating my life to this movement. I'm dedicating my life because I don't fear anything anymore. I see past the bullshit, and I have literally dedicated every waking moment for the rest of my life to the betterment of humanity. Because I've also come to find out, what it's like to be on the plus side of karma, and I really like that. I'm spending my life doing this. If there's something on this planet that I feel like I can help, that I can fix, I'm gonna do it.
Awesome.
I'm dedicating my life to humanity.
That's the spirit of the new world. That really is what's going to carry us, and it's people like you that are helping this come about in such a big way, in more ways than you can even imagine, and in a much bigger fashion than we can ever hope to imagine. How this
I'm starting to understand the scope of it, and I've been rendered to tears quite a few times over the last couple of weeks, especially because I'm really starting to wrap my head around it, and I'm just like, it's so profound, man. It's like, it renders me to tears.
It does me too.
And they're happy tears, they're beautiful tears, and it feels so cleansing to cry those tears, man. It's like, it's a good feeling, man. And I'm a diagnosed sociopath.
I always say, anytime you get when you start to get a glimpse of the love that is truth, it just brings me to my knees. Every time I get a glimpse of it, I just get that little peek at it, and it just goes right through me and can take me right to my knees. I know absolutely what you're talking about, and it is a beautiful feeling. And I love crying. I love those tears of joy. That's what it is. It's a release of resistance as you start to focus in on what that real truth is.
Yeah. And, I started my transformation 4 years ago now. Mm-hmm. I decided that that was the last time I ever showed off. I wanted to show off by taking about 20 hits of, Grateful Dead Family Fluff, which was buried back in the 70s, so it was, the really high micrograin shit. And I took 20 hits of that, and it kicked me out of my body for a couple hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had kind of a heads up. That acted as my catalyst, basically. Where I got launched to was it said, you died, come to terms with it, and I didn't come out of the trip until I fully accepted that I died. So that's when my journey started, and I've faced death. I've been through so much that I have a pretty good idea on what will work, And
well, you've had a lot of challenges coming to this point, have you not?
I have.
Yeah.
I'm a felon. I've been to prison. I've done about 4 years altogether between county and prison. I'm a diagnosed sociopath. I've been labeled. I've been a druggie. I was the perfect bad example, and I started teaching myself how to heal from my pain, and that became a very dangerous weapon. When I healed from my pain, I'm still stuck with the symptoms of a sociopath, besides the lack of empathy, because I'm a very deep empath. When you heal from being a sociopath, you still have the symptoms, but you're doing it in a good way. I have the poetic speech patterns, I have the poetic thought process, which I can kind of entrance people with, and people are able to feel what I felt in the piece. And I accidentally wrote out the process from when I was down in the dumps, suicidal, ready to kill myself, to what I am now. I mapped it out through my poetry on accident.
Poetry
I mapped out my
beautiful.
path to enlightenment. Huh?
Your poetry is absolutely beautiful. It's some of the most heartfelt words I've seen put together, and I love it because it's so modern, but yet just so heartful. Just absolutely.
Do you want to? I healed from being a sociopath through my writing, right?
Yeah.
I forget what it's called. When I was really young, my IQ was tested and I was off the charts. They said I was above 160 because 160 was as high as it went. Now, that being said, I taught myself how to heal from my pain, and as a sociopath, that is not easy by any means.
Yeah.
It was a process. I would write out feelings that I had that I didn't understand. I can't put a name on, and I'd write it in metaphor, and people would ask me questions about it, and at first I'd be up in arms. I didn't want to talk about it, man. No, I'm not interested, and but eventually I started realizing that good networking dictates that you talk with your fans and the people reading your stuff. So I started talking about it, and that's when I started processing. I processed 31 years of pain within the last probably 6 to 8 months.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
Yeah, and now I have a clear vision on what's going on in the world, and I realize the bullshit that they feed us through mainstream media. I'm very, very, very anti-mainstream. Very anti-mainstream, because that, when they say crazy people don't realize they're crazy, what they're really referring to is the people that are crazy and locked in loop insanity with society, because, subliminal messaging, that's very real. Since I've woken up, I'm starting to notice subliminal messaging. Since I've woken up, I'm noticing the hilarity of mainstream news and the shit that they cover when I'm talking to people all over the world and I know what's really going on. And you're not going to see in the news that there is a massive world peace effort going on all over the world. You're not going to see that. They're trying to use fear-mongering. They're trying to keep people scared. Well, when people quit being scared, they realize the hilarity of this mainstream corporate system, which is all the government is. It's a fucking corporation. And when you start breaking free from this, you realize that. And apparently my words have the ability to spark something or drop an idea in people's head. Be like, hey, look at this from this angle. You know what I'm saying? And I have a way of doing it where I can write it out. I used to call it a gentle fuck you to society. But it's now becoming a, hey, society, open your eyes and take a look at this. And I'm able to put it into words that they can connect with and they empathize with, and it makes them think a different way. Like, I wrote that piece to the future, the one about looking a child in the eyes and speaking to him as an adult. And I had countless parents hitting me up, asking me for advice, and saying that they felt like shit because of decisions they made. And I have to explain to them, don't feel bad for the decisions that you've made. That's part of your path. What you need to do now is focus on what you can do to make the world a better place for your children. Because I personally will be damned if I'm going to leave this hot mess to my kids to fix.
Right.
You know, if we do that, we're going to be out of home.
Yeah. You know, something you said
I would rather...
something you said that was really interesting that I wanted to touch on. You know, you said you used to blame and have, well, the way you put it was you used to put it as a gentle fuck you to society. And I was just thinking, you know, there's like these different levels of awakening. And people, I think when people first wake up and they see all the bullshit for what it is, they tend to, they get angry, of course, which is a natural reaction because, you know, they've been lied to for their whole lives. You know, I came up in the 60s, and I was very much a part of, I wasn't that old to be a hippie, an actual hippie, but I certainly got all the influence of it and carried that through my life. I varied from that as I tried over a period of a number of years to fit in. But so when people get the first wake up, which I just really has just been 5 years for me in that sense, they get angry and they start to blame and point their fingers.
You get scared. You get scared because your thoughts start imploding on themselves, and you don't realize that is actually just you thinking for yourself.
Right.
Because when you break away from mainstream, you start to feel a really deep insanity coming on. And you're just like, man, what the fuck is wrong with me? Why is this doing this? And the more time that goes by, you start making sense. And you start accepting, and you're just like, you start realizing that the really insanity part is before you've started your awakening. The insanity comes when you start thinking for yourself, and people get scared of that. That's why TV is so effective, because when people start thinking too much, what do? They go turn on TV. You know, they
there's a new story that gets beat into the ground. You know, it's always the distraction, the distraction with this or the distraction with that. But then there comes a second point that people reach after they kind of have looked around and they start to see things for what it is, and then you reach a point and you understand that that we're all one, and because we're all one, everyone is playing their roles. And then you start to develop this compassion, and that compassion is for everyone. It's not only for the other people who are awake, but it's the people who aren't.
You can see through. You can see past the matrix. You can understand what it is that's going on, and you feel bad for them. Like I have a lot of haters, okay, especially where I'm from. Like, I have my past reputation, and people don't think that I'm serious about this, and they bad talk me, and they lie about me, and they slander me. And as you know, back in a few months ago, I would have been angered by it, but I sit here now, and I say, that's cool. I will wait for you to catch up.
Right.
I will wait for you to catch up, and I know that you will understand.
Yeah, and because you love them as a part of the one that we all come from, you know that everyone's playing their roles, and they will catch up, or they will have the experience that they came here to have.
Everybody is on their path right now. You know what I'm saying? Everybody is on their path.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own path. There's no way that anyone can be on the wrong path, because even if you stray off your path, you're still on your path. Your path, everyone is on their path. Everyone is on their way. Where they're going, they don't know, but they're on their way.
I like to explain it like a video game. You know, when you're playing a video game, not like maybe a role-playing game or something like that, and there's a storyline, and so we come in with this storyline, and there's borders to it, and so we're kind of led along this path that gives us a lot of opportunity for free will along the way, but we can only vary so far off our path. We're still going to go after that overall intention. And I think that's one of the biggest parts of waking up, is where each one of us discovers what our own path really is, what our overall intention is. And certainly sounds like you found that for yourself in a big way.
I can look back at my life and I can apply chaos theory. I can apply chaos theory to my life and see it for what it is. At the time, life sucked. I didn't want it. I was going, like, I had the roughest childhood. I had the roughest teenage years, the roughest 20s. And I look at my life now and I understand why I went through all that bullshit, because this is my path. This is what I was chosen to do. Yeah, it's fate. This is what I was chosen to do, and what I was chosen to do was to play a role in the world peace movement.
Yeah.
And that's why I dedicated my life to this, because I now know my calling. I understand my calling completely. And I accept it humbly, and I'm very humbled that the powers that be chose me for this.
It's so exciting, so exciting. So tell us about this journey that you're going to be making. I know it's a little bit off the cuff, and you're trying to arrange a network of support and communication so we can keep track of where you're at, and I certainly hope that you'll call in and update us on the subsequent shows while you're on the march. Cool. Yeah, I'd love to have you come in. Yeah, love to have you come in and update us.
Yeah, man, like we don't really have plans. Like, okay, since I've awoken, I've learned how to live in the moment. And when you live in the moment, you understand that the universe provides for you. When you listen to your instinct, you know, honestly, what I think is going on, I think that the people that are willing to hand their free will back over to God, I think that they're being rewarded. And this walk, the only thing that we planned is that we're leaving from Denver.
Yeah, awesome.
Everything else is going to be completely by the seat of the pants. There's not going to be any leaders in this march. This is going to be, if somebody decides, hey, this way seems better, we're going to follow that person. Like, it's going to be like, there's going to be a leader, but everyone's going to be a leader. You know, everyone's going to have say in where we go. Everyone's going to, it's going to be a complete barter system. I'm going to discourage exchange of money between demonstrators. I want them to go off a barter system. I want us to save the cash for when we go in the city so we can help people. You know, like, I'd like to see this become like a walking festival. You know, we have musicians that are talking about coming out and meeting up and, you know, just walking through the woods and reconnecting with our mother and listening to music and paying homage to this world, man, while we're in between cities, in between, you know, motivational speeches, in between poetry readings, in between whatever it is that we're going to be doing as the avenue for people to hear our message.
I love it.
We've actually come up with a name for our group, and we're Captain Obvious and the Merry Band of Pranksters. And Captain Obvious is the message that we're delivering, and the people that are delivering it are the Merry Pranksters.
I love it.
We're paying homage to Ken Kesey for his, you know, for his trip. We're paying tribute to him, and we're gonna like discourage wearing anonymous masks on the front, because me and my friends vowed that we would not put another mask on, but we are going to put it on the back of our head to show support to our brothers in Brisbane and Africa and all the people that are helping the world peace movement going, because the members of Anonymous are playing a massive role in the networking and the helping with the world peace movement, and I have utmost respect for them. They're fucking angels. So we're going to pay homage to them by wearing the mask on the back of our head, but when we do our motivational speeches, since we aren't going to wear our masks anymore, we'll probably be having bandanas over our face so that they're hearing the message and not seeing who's delivering it. Sure. We want to do it anonymously. We want this to be one whole entity. We want everyone who's working in this movement to just act as one. That way everyone can lead. You know, the best leaders make leaders. That way everyone can lead. That way everyone has a say in it. And, you know, hopefully everyone that's involved in it understands the gravity of what's going on and understands the gravity of displaying utmost respect for everyone regardless of their, you know, opinion. This is about showing people that it's okay to be happy. This is about showing people that that little bit of insanity that you're going to go through after you break away from mainstream, it's going to go away.
Yeah,
it'll come back. It'll keep going back and forth, but you'll soon start hitting equilibrium where you're melding your soul with your ego. You know, and
well said.
These people involved, like, this is what the fourth paradigm is about. Like, the paradigm change is about, man. This is a raising of consciousness. This is realizing that we are all the same. So what you do to someone else, you're doing to yourself through karma, and also because we are all connected. You know, the fact that we're all connected stands tried and true. That why, if you wouldn't spit in your own face or punch yourself in the jaw, why would you do it to someone else? Because you're doing it to yourself when you do that to someone. Exactly. Because you're going to get paid back. I promise you will be paid back for what you did.
Yeah.
And
you know, this is so.
On the positive,
I was just going to say, this is so synchronous that you're that we're on talking about this and what you're doing this week. You know, Daniel on Monday night had Bridget Nielsen, who is involved in the Harmonious Earth network, which is kind of doing a very similar but different thing than what you're doing. They're stationary in one place in Sedona, but they're setting up a sort of a communal community out there where they're living off the land as much as they can, sharing resources, and this is I'm thrilled.
Let's talk about synchronicity real quick.
Yeah.
Let's talk about synchronicity real quick.
Sure.
Me and my soulmate. My soulmate is sitting right here. Say hi real quick.
Hello.
Hello.
This is my soulmate, tried and true, man. The day we met, it was the most magical, serene, gorgeous day that I've ever experienced. But we come together and we started talking about plans that we had, and we both had plans that, like me personally, when my book check hits, Wasted Youth Remembers on Amazon, go get it. Every single penny that's spent on that, I'm going to try really hard to spend on everyone else.
And
we're gonna buy land.
The link for your book is on the page. If you're on Blog Talk, it's on the page for this show.
But yeah, basically, that's originally I was wanting a good future for myself, and I had selfish intent with my book, but it turned into, now I understand the gravity of what my book is doing. My book is, I'm not even paying attention to it because I don't want to know, but it's like I've heard people saying it's about to hit bestseller or it's on its way. And basically what I'm going to do is, with the account that I get from that, since I self-published, I'll be getting 75% of the profit. What I'm going to do with that, what we're going to do with that is we're going to go around places and buying up land, and we're going to start communes. And as soon as it's running efficiently, we're going to assign the commune, the deed over to everyone that lives there.
Yeah. Dig it.
You see what I'm saying?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like I said, we're doing that, and I'm about to have the funds that I can do that. It's kind of slow on the uptake.
In the Pay It Forward Foundation.
Well, I've been talking to a number of people who are wanting me to get involved in a foundation called that they're thinking about starting, and it's the Pay It Forward Foundation. Yeah. And people go through a pretty stringent application process, but once they get through, they get like a lump sum of like a couple $100,000 dropped in their lap, and we pay the taxes on it, and they get to do what they need to do to get out of debt, to buy a house, to buy a car, groceries, whatever they need. But once they're flush, they agree to pay the rest of it forward to someone that they know that needs it.
Nice.
And this is what we're wanting to do. Like I said, the more sales I get on the book, the better, because every single penny, after I get a longboard, a shitty car, and out myself out of debt, after that, every single penny I'm going to try to give away.
Nice. I love to hear these types of stories. I'm so thrilled to have you on, because it's taking the courage. It's people like you who have the courage to break away from the old and start these new heart-based movements and things that we're doing to help bring a new earth around. And I absolutely love it. I'm so thrilled that you're here with us tonight. So where do people get a hold of, if they want to keep track, where's the best place for them to keep track of what's going on with your walk?
Well, my lady Enigma is going to be taking over my Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
She will every time she posts, she's going to post under #Lady Enigma. That way you know it's her, and that way you can go to see where she's at. She's going to be, when she has time, she's going to be keeping up on my Facebook. That way, because she's my soulmate, and she is every bit as intelligent. She is every bit as soulful, intuitive. Like, we are identical. So the people that I help day in and day out talking to, please feel free to continue talking, because she is just like me. She's intuitive, like she's got really good ideals, She's perfect. She's me. So she's going to be updating people when we don't have access to Wi-Fi. She's going to be updating people as to where we are, what we're doing. She'll be sharing my poetry. She'll also be sharing her poetry through my page. She's a profound writer, phenomenal writer. But she's going to be keeping update, and it's on my personal page. So add me up. If you can't add me, if I hit my max, then I go ahead and follow me, and we will follow back, and that way we can still interact. And it's going to be taken care of. And then I want to do the weekly.
We'll get updates here each week. If you want to call back in, we'll get an update from you next week.
I will always be sure that I'm in an area where I can give you a call each week. If we can do it around this time each week, then yes. Because we want as many people here physically as possible. But if people can't be here physically, we need, good vibes. We need people here in spirit. Because what we're doing is, this is at the pivotal moment right now where it's about to take off. And we need as many good vibes as possible, because this is we're trying to change the world. We're trying really hard to change the world, and we need help.
Awesome.
Now, the people that I surround myself with have dedicated every waking moment of their life also to the movement, just as I have. We're ready to die for this, so we need help.
All right. Well, I encourage anyone, and if I get any information on ways that folks can contribute or help out, at least be there in spirit, I will certainly pass those along. And one more thing before we let you go for the night, and we're going to take this to a little more of a fun note. Are you going to be in Denver on the 20th? Are there any parties scheduled? I mean, it's Colorado,
I'm not sure.
Man, what's going on?
I'm not sure. I'm hanging out with, I call her my mom. She actually, I'm not going to go into detail, but she unlocked my mind, so to speak. And we're visiting right now, and tomorrow we're going to be in Denver. As of tomorrow, we're going to be wandering around Denver until the 25th. Anyone in Denver that wants to smoke us out, we are stoners. We do smoke a fuckload of pot. I actually smoked right before I called you, and I was sitting here thinking, man, this is Denver weed. Why did I smoke this much before I called? But yeah, we're trying to see how much weed it takes us to overdose. So anyone that wants to smoke us out in Denver,
good luck with that. I've never seen
it. Our phone numbers are on the event page, so if you want to smoke us out, please just give us a call. We will come by. We like to meet people. We like talking. We will never shut up. So if you want to have your ear talked off, hit us up. This is something like we're being completely public about it. Our phone numbers are out there. If you want to hit us up, please hit us up. We're accepting donations, cash, medical supplies, leftover antibiotics, dried foods, bottled water, camping gear, anything that can help us walk across the United States will be awesome. Good vibes.
Yeah.
Company.
Hey, just a quick thought for you. I don't know if do you have a PayPal account?
I don't. I'm technologically stupid. I know I'm the Rain Man of Facebook networking, but anything outside of Facebook, I'm slightly stupid.
All right, I was just trying to think of a way that people could donate to the cause if they were wanting to, but
well, Philip, they can contact me or any of the other 3 phone numbers that I've posted on the event page, or man, I'd be willing to talk to you about setting up a PayPal account. I would trust you with that.
And maybe we'll do that.
Awesome.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being on with us tonight, Jason. I'm so excited for what you folks are doing. I love that this is you're helping to empower the rest of the world, and this is where it's all going. And I love that people like you have the courage to do this.
I think it's absolutely resounding that the perfect bad example is actually becoming a really good example to follow. They always said I would be a fuck up, that I was going to end up in prison for the rest of my life, and this and that. You're not ever going to function in society unless you're on heavy medication and psychotherapy. Well, guess what? I embraced my crazy, and I learned my crazy, and I realized that my crazy wasn't crazy. My crazy was awake, and now here I am, a tool in the world peace movement. So all you people that said I wouldn't make it, oh, well, you can kiss the whitest part of my ass. But I forgive you, and I understand why you thought that way.
And you love them anyway.
I do. I love everyone. Once you love yourself, you accidentally love everyone else. And sometimes it's annoying because where you know that, hey, I should probably get angry at that. Instead, you just want to give them a hug, and it's just like, here.
Well, I still want to smack people, but it doesn't mean I don't love them.
I'm a complete pacifist now. As soon as I realized the power of my pen, I gave up fighting, and I started fighting on a different battle. I am a complete pacifist now. And I totally understand that violence is not the way. Even just talking about violence is bad,
Yeah. I was just kidding, of course.
Oh, I already know, man.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Jason. We'll look forward to having you on next week. I'll be in touch with you in the meantime. Best of wishes and luck, and we're all there in love and spirit with you folks. And I hope you have a wonderful time in Denver, and we'll look forward to hearing from you next week.
Well, if any of us overdose, we'll let the public know how much pot you have to smoke to overdose.
You do that.
We're trying really hard to overdose. So anyone that wants to smoke us out, hit us up.
All right, Jason. Have a great night, and we will see you. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, it's good talking.
All right, my friend. Bye-bye.
All right, buddy.
All right. So that was pretty awesome. I love what they're doing. Man, what a great operation. It just warms my heart to hear people who are starting to make this break from tradition and take on these roles of moving the earth into a new place and the world into a new place. And they're not doing it by pointing their fingers at anyone else. They're not doing it by laying blame or living in fear or coming up with conspiracy theories. They're doing it by going within their hearts and finding that love and that compassion that's within them, and then spreading it out to the world. And God bless all you guys. We bless all of you. Godspeed to you. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a quick rundown of the announcements for the network. Quick rundown of the announcements, and then we'll get on with the rest of the show. Let's see. All right. So we have now officially launched the ENlightenment Evolution Network, the network for all things metaphysical. Wonderful shows that we've had on. I mentioned earlier Daniel's show on Monday night. He had Bridget Nielsen, who was involved in the Harmonious Earth Network and the hybrid children community. That was a terrific show. I so enjoyed listening to that. And I just talked to Sharon McCormick today, and she's agreed to come on a future show for us here. Sharon is also involved in the hybrid children community. We're hoping to have her on soon here, and maybe in the next month or so. But Daniel's show is on Monday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time. It's the Daniel Scranton Heart to Heart Talk Radio. Daniel and his featured guests will discuss such topics as the shift, ETs, global events, channeling, energy work, toning, sound healing, manifestation, and all things metaphysical. Each show will open the phone lines to callers, generating high-frequency discussions on anything and everything related to living on planet Earth and beyond. And Daniel asked me to make an announcement for him. Daniel's actually in Connecticut right now, and he's got a special event on Saturday night in his hometown, I believe, which is Newtown, Connecticut. And maybe that's not his hometown, but it's his hometown state. And Saturday night at 6 p.m., that would be 6 p.m. Eastern Time at the Sound Center in Newtown, Connecticut. And you can go to the event page on his website for more details. And his website is danielscranton.com. That's Daniel and Scranton, like Scranton, Pennsylvania, .com. And you can find all the information there. You can also find Daniel on Facebook. And he posts daily in our Consciousness Evolution 2.0 group. And at this event on Saturday, he'll be channeling Ophelia and the Creators, and it will be mostly question and answer. And then on Wednesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, it's Rob Gauthier, the creator of the Enlightenment Evolution Network, will host the show that started it all, the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. Trip through Wednesdays. Every first Wednesday of the month, Rob will be channeling Treb, who will take all callers' questions. Third Wednesday will be special guests such as channelers and other metaphysical teachers. I know he's got Brad Johnson lined up here in the next month or so. And the other 2 weeks are freestyle call-ins to share information and love with whoever wishes to co-create the evening with us. And then another special announcement. I have to clear my throat so I can do this right. The question is Treb going to be part of Tuning In 3, Spirit Channelers of America Part 3? And the answer is yes! Treb is going to be part of Tuning In, Spirit Channelers of America Part 3. And it's a wonderful, great news. Coming May 1st, the new Kickstarter program will be up and running from the director of the first 2 phenomenal documentaries. Rob and Treb will be featured in this new installment of the Legendary Trilogy. Rob is very excited, and if anyone's interested in helping raise funds, let Rob know, and he'll post it as soon as the Kickstarter is ready. Rob says he loves you all, and he's so excited. So many channelers from the first film will be here, and here is the if you haven't seen this, go to YouTube. It's called Tuning In, and there's parts 1 and 2. And in part 1, Daryl Ankin Bashar appeared. John Callie with Chief Joseph, Lee Carroll and Cryon, Jeffrey Hoppe and Tobias, Wendy Kennedy and the Pleiadian Collective, and Sean Randall and Torah. So you can find those on YouTube. They were great shows. Look those up. They're great fun, and I'm really excited for Rob and Treb that they're going to be in Part 3. So keep your eye open for that. Also, as far as Rob and Treb, you can find them at trebchanneling.com at the website. You can also find them on Facebook at the Enlightenment Evolution Network page, or just look for Rob Gauthier, Gauthier, on Facebook, and everyone's real easy to find. Okay, Thursday nights, you're listening to it. It's the Consciousness Evolution Hour, and we're going to have a special Seth segment tonight that we're going to get to shortly here. And I just wanted to mention, too, that you can find me on the Consciousness Evolution 2.0 group on Facebook and my YouTube channel, where I have a number of videos posted, lots of different Seth sessions being read and channelings from Alison Hamilton and other various things that will be very interesting if you're so inclined. So check it out there, and let's see. I think that's about it for our announcements. Oh, I'm sorry. Friday night's coming is the Earth Experience with Kalina Angel. I understand it's going to be around the 1st of June. Kalina Angel will be hosting her own upcoming show called The Earth Experience on Friday nights. It will explore our soul's expansion through our human experiences on Earth. First topic explored will be what we can do when the shift hits the fan, navigating and expanding through the exciting confusions that we are manifesting as new 5D beings. And one last thing, the Enlightenment Evolution Network, which I'm proudly a part of, I'm so thrilled to have the caliber of people involved in this, Rob and Daniel, and I know that there's some shows coming that are coming. I have a little inside track, perhaps, on one or two that may be announced soon. I'm not going to give away any details, but I'm thrilled with the prospects of us having a different show every day of the week. This is a wonderful place for me to be, and I sure hope that you tune in and support the other hosts as well. Okay, so I think that's it for our announcements. So what we're going to do now, and I want to remind you that what we're going to do now is we're going to read a Seth session from the book. It's Jane Roberts was the author, and you may or may not be familiar with Seth. Seth was a channeled spirit energy gestalt, channeled through Jane Roberts, and they wrote a number of books. And the one we're going to be reading from is called Dreams, Evolution, and Value Fulfillment, Volume 1. And we're starting off at session, I believe it's session 882, which is the beginning of the book as far as the Seth sessions are concerned. We're going to read through this, and then we're going to discuss it in some detail and take some phone calls. And if you'd like to call in, that call-in number is area code 347-308-8788. So, without further ado, let's move right into the Seth session. What I'm going to do is I'm going to assume the character of Seth as he is dictating this session, and I'm sure you'll find it very interesting. This is really a basis for our whole world, and it kind of starts at the beginning, really before the beginning, and gives us an explanation of where we come from and how everything came about. And my reason for doing this is because it really gives us a basis from which to better understand where we're at today. And by having this basis, this understanding of how everything came about, we can shed a lot of those old stories and old beliefs and old myths. And really, this is still a new story. It's a way of explaining it that is still a story, because it's very difficult to translate non-physical concepts into physical expression. And we don't really have the language for a lot of this stuff, or the terms, or even the definitions. But Seth does a wonderful job of taking very difficult concepts and explaining them in terms that we can then understand and apply to our own knowledge. And so coming through this and getting a basic understanding of the nature of the world and our true nature will give us a much better idea of why and how and all of the things that we're dealing with in our present now moment, why things are the way they are. And you're going to be surprised at a lot of this. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to relax your definitions, relax your reasoning mind, and kind of just, you don't have to put it away, but relax it. Just tell it to go with it, and allow yourself to use your imagination to place yourself into these words and these stories that you're about to hear. And let your intuition guide you. You're going to need your intuition and your imagination to help you to assimilate this information. So just kind of relax, sit back in your chair, take a deep breath, and we're going to get started with session 882 from Dreams, Evolution, and Value Fulfillment. So give me just one moment, and we'll get started. Good evening, Seth. Now, the universe will begin yesterday. The universe began tomorrow. Both of these statements are quite meaningless. The tenses are wrong, and perhaps your time sense is completely outraged. Yet, the statement, the universe began in some distant past, is, in basic terms, just as meaningless. In fact, the first two statements, while making no logical sense, do indeed hint of phenomena that show time itself to be no more than a creative construct. Time and space are, in a fashion, part of the furniture of your universe. The very experience of passing moments belongs to your psychological rooms in the same way that clocks are attached to your walls. Whenever science or religion seeks the origin of the universe, they search for it in the past. The universe is being created now. Creation occurs in each moment, in your terms. The illusion of time itself is being created now. It is therefore somewhat futile to look for the origins of the universe by using a time scheme that is in itself, at the very least, highly relative. Your now, or present moment, is a psychological platform. It seems that the universe began with an initial burst of energy of some kind, called the Big Bang. Evolutionists cannot account for its cause. Many religious people believe that a God exists in a larger dimension of reality and that he created the universe while being himself outside of it. He set it into motion. Many individuals following either persuasion believe that regardless of its source, the universe must run out of energy. Established science is quite certain that no energy can now be created or destroyed, but only transformed. Science sees energy and matter as being basically the same thing, appearing differently under varying circumstances. In certain terms, science and religion are both dealing with the idea of an objectively created universe. Either God made it, or physical matter in some unexplained manner was formed after an initial explosion of energy, and consciousness emerged from that initially dead matter in a way yet to be explained. Instead, consciousness formed matter. As I have said before, each atom and molecule has its own consciousness. Consciousness and matter and energy are one, but consciousness initiates the transformation of energy into matter. In those terms, The beginning of your universe was a triumph in the expansion of consciousness as it learned to translate itself into physical form. The universe emerged into actuality in the same way, but to a different degree. That any idea emerges from what you think of as subjectivity into physical expression. The consciousness of each reader of this book existed before the universe was formed. But that consciousness was unmanifest. Your closest approximation, and it is an approximation only, of the state of being that existed before the universe was formed is the dream state. In that state, before the beginning, your consciousness existed free of space and time, aware of immense probabilities. This is extremely difficult to verbalize, yet it is very important that such an attempt be made. Your consciousness is a part of an infinitely original, creative process. I will purposely avoid using the word God because of the connotations placed upon it by conventional religion. I will make an attempt to explain the characteristics of this divine process throughout this book. I call the process all that is. All that is so much a part of its creations that it is almost impossible to separate the creator from the creations. For each creation also carries indelibly within it the characteristics of its source. If you have thought that the universe followed a mechanistic model, then you would have to say that each portion of this cosmic machine created itself, knowing its position in the entire future construction. You would have to say further that each portion came gladly out of its own source individually, neatly tailored to its position, while at the same time that individual source was also as intimately the source of each other individual portion. I am not saying that the universe is the result of some psychological machine either, but that each portion of consciousness is a part of all that is, and that the universe falls together in a spontaneous divine order, and that each portion of consciousness carries within it indelibly the knowledge of the whole. The birth of the world represented a divine psychological awakening. Each consciousness that takes a part in the physical universe dreamed of such a physical existence, in your terms, before the earth was formed. In greater terms than yours, it is quite true to say that the universe is not formed yet, or that the universe has vanished. In still vaster terms, however, the fact is that in one state or another, the universe has always existed. Your closest approximation of the purpose of the universe can be found in those loving emotions that you have toward the development of your children, in your intent to have them develop their fullest capacities. Your finest aspirations can give you some dim clue as to the great creative thrust that is behind your own smallest act. For your own smallest act is possible only because your body has already been provided for in the physical world. your life is given. In each moment, it is renewed. So smoothly and effortlessly do you ride that thrust of life's energy that you are sometimes scarcely aware of it. You are not equipped with a certain amount of energy that then wears out and dies. Instead, you are again newly created in each moment. That is enough for now. End of session and a fond good evening. Thank you, Seth. Good night. And folks, that's the end of that session. Seth really gives us a basic idea of that oneness that we all come from. To all that is the one, and how everything existed always in our terms. There is no past, present, and future. Time is a construct. If it exists now, it always did. If it ever existed, it always will exist. There is no beginning or ending, really. It all always exists. So here we sit in our time-space construct, and we look around us, and we live by the clock, and we look at objects, and we look at nature, and we look at the animals, and we had a discussion last week about extinction, and people get very upset with various species of animals becoming extinct. And Seth does get to this, but I will just say this, that nothing ever really becomes extinct, and this isn't to counter the arguments of the folks that are interested in improving our Earth and improving, taking care of the Earth and taking care of Gaia, and appreciating what we have here and that we are a part of the Earth. I don't want to take anything away from the people that are doing these wonderful things to improve the Earth, but nothing is ever really extinct. It always exists, if not physically, then latently. And any species can return to the Earth, to objective life, if and when the conditions are right for it. Now, I don't know if any of us want a return of the dinosaurs, but it could happen. One of the things that's happened recently that was discussed in some circles, and some of the teachers mentioned it, is, we had this comet Ison that flew through our skies here, and or not through our skies, but through our solar system. And as it passed through Earth's trajectory on its way toward the sun, of course, this comet leaves a trail of dust and particles and space dust, leaves a trail behind it. Well, what happened, I want to say it was around February 1st. I could be wrong on the date. But what happened is, we all know that Ison much of it didn't survive its trip around the sun. However, Earth, in its trajectory, did pass through the remains of the tail of the comet, where it had passed on its way toward the sun. And my understanding is that because there was a barrier protecting Earth that was brought down on 12/21/2012, that Earth accepted this space dust, which is seeding new life forms upon the Earth. And it's really interesting. If you'll remember, we had these earthquakes that I don't remember where it was, but it actually brought the sea floor to the surface of the ocean for a time. Well, I heard it explained that that was very purposeful, in that those pieces of land that may have done that came up from the ocean floor, then collected this space dust from the comet and will return to the sea floor to also seed new life into the oceans. Now, isn't that an interesting thought? So, we talk about species being extinct, and I sit here and tell you, well, nothing's really extinct. It always exists latently, and this is kind of what Seth is telling us, is that everything always exists. We always existed, even before we were manifest. And he says that our closest approximation to that state of being was the dream state. Now, you can start to get a sense of that, and as weeks go by and we have more readings and more shows, we're going to get into the dream state a whole lot more. And it's almost deceiving, I think, to talk about the dream state, because we have such a belief about our dreams. They're almost a nuisance to many of us, the way we look at it. We don't really think of them as being helpful or useful, or they're almost like a nuisance of sorts, in that we don't appreciate them for what they are. But for those of you who are new to this material, and many of you already know this, but we have lots of experiences when we are asleep, or when we are not conscious. We go out and our spirit sort of returns to its natural form. And we have all kinds of experiences with other types of beings, with beings of all types of energy, all origins from all over the universe. We actually return to states where aspects of us that exist in other places, because we have aspects of ourselves all over the universe. Known and unknown universe. Physical and non-physical universe. So when we dream, what we're actually doing is we're taking these experiences that we had, and the parts that we can, we're translating those into a physical equivalent that we can understand. Now, certainly this doesn't happen with all of our dreams, because so much of it we have no equivalent for. So much of what we experience in our dreams, or what we call our dreams, but in these other states of being, we have no equivalent for them. We have no definitions. We have no terms. We have no physical object or concept or idea that correlates to what we experienced. So as we come out of these states and we return to our conscious selves, we translate what we can. And those become what we remember in our waking state as our dreams. And I know for myself, I tend to paint a very familiar face on everything, and really by its definition, it sounds like we all do. We paint a familiar face on everything. Something that we can relate to. I know I was just talking last week in one of my posts, some of the beings that I'm with, I tend to, as I'm dreaming or coming out of the dream, I tend to recognize energies. I see forms that appear, is it called bipedal? I think that's the correct term. 2 arms, 2 legs, a head. So I'm interacting with these bipedal forms. But when I wake up and I think about it, it's like, I don't think that they were human. Because, I kind of look at the faces, and a lot of times I'll put a familiar face on an energy, and maybe it's a different aspect of this person that I know in physical. Maybe I'm interacting with another aspect of somebody that I know in physical life. So I paint this face on them. But if I think about it, and think about that image that I had in the dream, I don't think they're human, a lot of them. And I realized last week that I was interacting in my dream with this 7-foot woman. And there was nothing untoward about it, so don't get any wrong ideas, but this was a being who was in my dream, and as I woke up, I thought, wow, they were like 7 foot tall, and I painted this human face on them, but if I think about it, I don't think that was human at all. So it's pretty astounding when you start to examine your dreams and start to think of them in a little different terms. And, a lot of my dreams are more the feeling of the dream than the actual remembrance of the physical parts of it or the objective parts of it. Because I can go to bed and lay down, and as I'm laying down, I can take myself right back to the feeling of the dream from the prior night. And it's really kind of fun to play with that. It's fun to understand that, wow, okay, I'm getting ready to go to bed, and I have this feeling that is exactly what I felt last night. And I can't even really put the feeling into words. It's more of an overall sensation, almost. But it's like this whole emotional package that equals that place or whatever I was doing the night before. So my dreams tend to be very, really have an interesting flow from night to night. And then, of course, I have the nights where I know I slept great, I slept a long time, plenty of time, and I'll wake up, and this just happened the other night, wake up and felt like I've run a race. And I just think, wow, I don't know what you were doing last night, but you must have been doing something because I'm whipped. I feel like I've just been going all night. I'm sure many of you have had the same type of experiences. So anyway, I would like to, if anyone has any questions about the session tonight, I'd love to take your calls if you want to dial in. We don't have anyone with questions on the line right now, so the lines are open. You can call in at area code 347-308-8788. We'd love to hear from you. If I have enough time, I might, and we don't get any calls, I might just go into another session. And I've also got another kind of a treat for you that I was hoping to do that may take about 10 minutes that we'll kind of wrap the show with. Excuse me one moment. Okay, I'm back. Pardon me. I was actually at Joanne and I were in an Abraham cruise in 2010, and I have somebody reposted a portion of this. It was the closing, Abraham's closing rampage to us at the end of the cruise. And it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard, so we have time towards the end of the show. Maybe we'll read that. I would love to share it with you. Again, somebody posted it the other day, and it was just absolutely heartwarming. And I couldn't believe that somebody was posting it, 4 years later. And I went back, and I actually had it in my notes on Facebook, and pulled it up and reread it, and I was just blown away all over again. And it meant so much more to me today than it even did then. I mean, then I didn't have a clue what was coming. I didn't have a clue where this was going to lead me. And now today I can look back at this and go, wow. And it's interesting, Daniel Scranton was on that cruise with us as well. So it's so funny to me for us 4 years later to be on this Enlightenment Evolution Network, both of us doing shows, and I'm still in touch with a lot of people who were on that cruise. It was really a wonderful thing. But, we don't have any people knocking down the doors here to talk about the Seth session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read another one, and if you do come up with a question or some aspect of the reading that you wanted to talk about, please call in. I'll give you that number one more time. It's area code 347-308-8788. And let's do one more session. Sounds like fun. I can't read enough Seth, so I'm hoping that by after a while, when you folks kind of get a feel for the flow of Seth, especially folks that aren't used to it, that you'll start to really get a taste of the absolute beauty and poetry and love with which these sessions were rendered. So, let's do another session. This is session 883. This was actually dictated and recorded October 1st, 1979. And by the way, if you want to listen to these sessions again, I have them on playlists on my YouTube channel. I actually read each session individually. They're between 10 and 20 minutes or so. And you can go to my channel on YouTube and find them there and listen to them in order and listen to them at your leisure. It's a lot of fun and very, very interesting material. A great way to introduce yourself to the Seth books. I know a lot of people have trouble sitting down and reading them, but they tend to have a better time if they have somebody with a reasonable voice who can read it to them. So I hope you enjoy this, and I'm hoping to make this a regular, at least once a month, where we'll sit down and go through some of these Seth sessions. So, without further ado, this is session 883. Give me one moment. Good evening. Good evening, Seth. Dictation, the heading of the chapter, I forgot to give it to you, is Before the Beginning. Now, you cannot prove scientifically that your world was created by a God who set it into motion, but remained outside of its dominion. Now, nor can you prove scientifically that the creation of the world was the result of a chance occurrence. So you will not be able to prove what I am going to tell you either, not in usual terms. I hope, however, to present, along with my explanations, certain hints and clues that will show you where to look for subjective evidence. Period. You live your lives through your own subjective knowing to begin with, and I will try to arouse within your own consciousness memories of events with which your own inner psyches were intimately involved as the world was formed. And though these may appear to be past events, they are even now occurring. Before the beginning of the universe, we will postulate the existence of an omnipotent creative source. We will hope to show that this divine subjectivity is as present in the world of your experience as it was before the beginning of the universe. Again, I refer to this original subjectivity as all that is. I am making an attempt to verbalize concepts that almost defy the edges of the intellect, unless that intellect is thoroughly reinforced by the intuition's strength. So you will need to use your mind and your own intuitions as you read this book. All that is, before the beginning, contained within itself the infinite thrust of all possible creations. A creativity of such magnificence that its slightest imaginings, dreams, thoughts, feelings, or moods attained a kind of reality, a vividness, an intensity that almost demanded freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom to do what? Freedom to be what? The experience, the subjective universe, the mind of all that is, was so brilliant, so distinct, that all that is almost became lost, mentally wandering within this ever-flourishing, ever-growing interior landscape. Each thought, feeling, dream, or mood was itself indelibly marked with all of the attributes of this infinite subjectivity. Each glowed and quivered with its own creativity, its own desire to create as it had been created. Before the beginning, there existed an interior universe that had no beginning or ending, for I am using the term before the beginning to make matters easier for you to assimilate. All that is contained within itself the knowledge of all existences with their infinite probabilities, and as soon as all that is imagined those numberless circumstances, they existed in what I will call divine fact. All that is knew of itself only. It was engrossed with its own subjective experiences, even divinely astonished as its own thoughts and imaginings attained their own vitality and inherited the creativity of their subjective creator. Those thoughts and imaginings began to have a dialogue with their maker. Thoughts of such magnificent vigor began to think their own thoughts, and their thoughts thought thoughts. As if in divine astonishment and surprise, all that is began to listen and began to respond to these generations of thoughts and dreams, for the thoughts and dreams related to each other also. There was no time. So all of this was happening simultaneously. The order of events is being simplified. In the meantime, then, in your terms, all that is spontaneously thought new thoughts and dreamed new dreams and became involved in new imaginings. And all of these also related to those now infinite generations of interweaving and interrelating thoughts and dreams that already existed. So beside the spontaneous creation, the simultaneous stream of divine rousing, all that is began to watch the interactions that occurred among its own subjective progeny. All that is listened, began to respond and to answer a thought or a dream. He began to purposely bring about those mental conditions that were requested by these generations of mental progeny. If he had been lonely before, he was no longer. Your language causes some difficulty here, so please accept the pronoun he as innocuously as possible. It sounds too neutral for my purpose, and I want to reserve the pronoun she for some later differentiations. In basic terms, of course, all that is quite beyond any designations having to do with any one species or sex. All that is, then, began to feel a growing sense of pressure as it realized that its own ever-multiplying thoughts and dreams themselves yearned to enjoy those greater gifts of creativity with which they were innately endowed. It is very difficult to try to assign anything like human motivation to all that is. I can only say that it is possessed by the need to lovingly create from its own being, to lovingly transform its own reality in such a way that each most slight probable consciousness can come to be. And with the need to see that any and all possible orchestrations of consciousness have the chance to emerge, to perceive, and to love. We will later discuss the fuller connotations of the word love as is meant here, but this chapter is kind of an outline of other material to come. All that is, then, became aware of a kind of creative tumult as each of its superlative thoughts and dreams, moods and feelings strained at the very edges of their beings, looking for some then unknown, undiscovered, as of then unthought of release. I am saying that this mental progeny included all of the consciousnesses that have ever appeared or will appear upon your earth, all tenderly couched. The first human being, the first insect, each with an inner knowledge of the possibilities of its development. All that is, loving its own progeny, sought within itself the answer to this divine dilemma. When that answer came, it involved previously unimaginable leaps of divine inspiration, and it occurred thusly. All that is searched through the truly infinite assortment of its incredible progeny to see what conditions were needed for this even more magnificent dream, this dream of freedom, of objectivity. What door could open to let physical reality emerge from such an inner realm? When all that is, in your terms, put all of those conditions together, it saw, of course, in a flash, the mental creations of those objective worlds that would be needed, and as it imagined those worlds, in your terms, they were physically created. All that is did not separate itself from those worlds, however, for they were created from its thoughts, and each one has divine content. The worlds are all created by that divine content, so that while they are on the one hand exterior, they are on the other also made of divine stuff. And each hypothetical point in your universe is in direct contact with all that is in the most basic terms. The knowledge of the whole is within all of its parts, and yet all that is more than its parts. Divine subjectivity is indeed infinite. It can never be entirely objectified. When the worlds, yours and others, were thus created, There was indeed an explosion of unimaginable proportions as the divine spark of inspiration exploded into objectivity. The first object was an almost unendurable mass, though it had no weight. And it exploded, instantaneously beginning processes that formed the universe. But no time was involved. The process that you might imagine took up eons occurred in the twinkling of an eye. And the initial objective materialization of the massive thought of all that is burst into reality. In your terms, this was a physical explosion. But in the terms of the consciousnesses involved in that breakthrough, this was experienced as a triumphant, first, inspirational frenzy. A breakthrough into another kind of being. The earth then appeared as consciousness transformed itself into the many facets of nature. The atoms and molecules were alive, aware. They were no longer simply a part of a divine syntax, but they spoke themselves through the very nature of their being. They became the living, awake vowels and syllables through which consciousness could form matter. But in your terms, this was still largely a dream world, though it was fully fashioned. It had, generally speaking, all of the species that you now know. These all correlated with the multitudinous kinds of consciousness that had clamored for release. And those consciousnesses were spontaneously endowed by all that is with those forms that fit their requirements. You had the birth of individualized consciousness as you think of it into physical context. Those consciousnesses were individualized before the beginning, but not manifest. But individualized consciousness was not quite all that bold. It did not attach itself completely to its earthly forms at the start, but rested often within its ancient divine heritage. In your terms, it is as if the earth and all its creatures were partially dreaming, and not as focused within physical reality as they are now. For one thing, while individualized consciousness was within the massive subjectivity of all that is, it enjoyed, besides its own uniqueness, a feeling of supporting unity, a comforting knowledge that it was one with its source. So in the beginning of your world, consciousness fluctuated greatly, focusing gently at the start, but not quite as willing to be as fully independent as its first intent might seem. You had the sleepwalkers, early members of your species whose main concentration was still veiled in that earlier subjectivity, and they were your first true ancestors in those terms. For one thing, early man needed to rely upon his great inner knowledge. Take your break. All of the species began by emphasizing a great subjective orientation that was most necessary as they learned to manipulate within the new physical environment. End of session. Thank you, Seth. Good night. And that, folks, is the end of the session. Wow. Seth sure knows how to roll it out, doesn't he? I go back over here and see there were some parts that were just amazing. Every time I read them, they just blow me away. So everything existed all at once. It was like a big bang, but there was no time involved. That just blows me away. If you have any questions or comments about this, we got time for a call or two. You're welcome to call in. The number is 347-308-8788. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to this closing of the Abraham cruise, which I think you'll really enjoy, and that should take us about to the end of the hour. I'm going to let the Seth stuff soak in. Covered a lot of ground, but it's an amazing consideration of how things were before the beginning, before our universe existed, and then to see all that is almost personified in that sense. And that's the closest, I think, that we can come to a personification of all that is. So it existed in this, in its mind or in its own subjectivity, and it began to dream and have thoughts, and then those thoughts had thoughts, and they all related to each other, and all that is loved it all so much that he had to give it an outlet. And one of the terms that we'll use a lot is value fulfillment. And this is what all that is granted. It granted every possible action, every possible orchestration or organization of consciousness, the means of which to find its own value fulfillment. And this is really the gift. This is the gift that we were all given. And this is the driving force that carries us into life, into whatever form we may be, human or whatever. All of life, all of consciousness, all of nature, everything is consciousness. Everything. Even what we can't see. And all that is gave everything the ability to find its own fulfillment by whatever means it needed. And still somehow orchestrated the whole thing so that no matter what any one consciousness needs or chooses, as we do in our realm, we choose. Those choices are always balanced throughout the whole system. The whole system. And I'm not just talking about the earth. I'm not just talking about nature. I'm talking about throughout eternity, for lack of a better word. Every choice we make is balanced. Completely balanced. That, as I like to say, is one hell of an amazing algorithm. If you are an engineer or you're any type of programmer or you're familiar with logic in that sense and with very complex calculations and algorithms, how does that work? I mean, our algorithms are fashioned after the systems that were originated from all that is, of course. That's pretty amazing. Okay, so what we're going to do, we've got about 20 minutes left. Excuse me one moment. Okay. So this was actually the closing of a cruise. This was what's called a rampage of appreciation. And I think you'll all enjoy this very much. This was an address from the Channel Abraham through Esther Hicks to a crowd of about 300 of us. And it was a very special group there. So I'll begin. This is Abraham, who is a non-physical being, expressing to us as humans. As we express to you from our vantage point of non-physical, we are offering a vibration slowly enough to give Esther the opportunity to find the words that perfectly match. Because our understanding of your value and our wish to express our appreciation for the part in this universal motion forward has never been stronger. In other words, it's those like you who consciously acknowledge the relationship between where you currently stand and how you currently feel in your physical bodies and what your astral body or your spiritual body or your soul body or your source body or your inner being body of energy is. It's the relationship between you and that which you've expanded to, which includes us. It's that relationship that equals every emotion that you feel. So when you decide, as you all did, that you're going to carve out a slice of your important lives and center yourselves inside a conversation with the express intent of joining and meshing with and blending with and understanding, merging with, becoming, allowing the human consciousness that you've come to know as you with the fullness of who you really are, when you make a decision like that, you have decided to contribute to humanity in the most effective way. Because you say, I will merge with the whole of that which I am. A little bit here and a little bit here, but it is my quest. And in doing so, I will learn, and I will study, and I will practice, and I will become. I will be a consistent light unto this world. I will tune to the energy of all that I have become, and I will so consistently flow it that anyone who gets a whiff of me will benefit, whether they speak, whether they understand or not. And for your willingness to do all that, we stand in complete love and appreciation for that willingness, because it required an effort and a focus and a sticking with a new idea, even an unpopular new idea. It required doing something that the other chickens aren't doing. It required perceiving outside the box. It required a paradigm shift. It required a letting go of physical reality and achieving of non-physical reality. It required merging with the God that is really you. But it also required letting go of the human that is you in profound and unpopular ways. So as we observe you, and as we feel you, and as we salivate over you, and as we find the deliciousness of you, as we focus upon who you are, and what you've done, and what you know, and how far you've come, and why you've done it, and how you will continue to do it, and what it means to you, and how you'll find the feeling place of it, and the effort that you will make, our appreciation of you is not just for what you've accomplished in getting here and playing with us in these hours that we've been together. Our appreciation that we are expressing to you now from our present tense is about what you are yet to do in your physical body, for which we are now in complete celebration about. The things that you seek, the successes that are still future tense for you, have already been accomplished. And we are savoring them now. And our powerful desire for you is that you will come frequently to your vortex of creation where you will ABC yourself through your alphabet into emotional reasoning, where you will feel the fullness of the celebration that we all have as a result of the work that you have and are continuing to do. There have never been humans with greater intensity than those who have gathered here, really. And there have never been those who have been more willing to listen to the sameness of the message that we continue to offer forward, determined to eke out one more piece of understanding that just puts the world in a little bit of a righter place. We applaud you for your patience. And we encourage you to come to your vortex where you never need it. And we express to you appreciation of all that you are, and eagerness that you feel love for yourselves in the way that we do right now. So we wish to express to you the brilliance of who you are. You are physically focused beings who are source energy instead of physically focused beings. You are leading edge of the universe, and in your physical bodies, you are beacons who will lead millions of others who want what you want what you have, but don't know what you know. You have no assignment to teach them. It is through the clarity of your example that it will happen. And because of your participation in these hours that we've been together, you have gathered around you in a rather consistent and intense fashion a cadre of non-physical energies. You can call them fairies of the universe or angels. You can call them anything that you want, who have always known you, but whom you have not always known. But your feeling for them and your finding of them will be more vivid to you. And that feeling of standing out there on the leading edge, sort of lonely because others don't get you, is fast fading as your new association with who you really are has powerfully taken its place. It will no longer be necessary for others to get you in order for you to stand and know who you are. In fact, you're going to find it a very common thing that flows from you when others say, I don't really understand what you mean, for you to say, it doesn't matter. You are going to find yourself teaching without anyone asking for a classroom. You're going to find yourself understanding without anyone really verbalizing a problem. You're going to find yourself vibrationally speaking, knowing from inside your vortex what it feels like to be tuned in to infinite intelligence. Solutions are going to flow forth to you more emphatically than you've ever experienced before, and you're going to find yourself often standing as very clear-minded beings amidst others who are standing in a place of somewhat confusion. And you're not going to feel uncomfortable in your leadership. As you hear people complaining, you won't take their complaints to heart at all, but you're going to feel a solution forming within you and words to back up the solution, and you're going to find yourself telling people what you know on a more consistent basis without offending them. Because you're not going to be considering their point of view and your point of view at the same time. You're going to be speaking profoundly from your point of view. In other words, one who is connected to the source energy, one who is flowing with the stream from inside the vortex, is more powerful and more influential than millions who are not. And in giving all of this to you, it is our powerful desire that you understand that this is not an assignment that we're assigning to you. It is the fulfilling of the intention that you set forth. and are acknowledging to you that you've accomplished what you've set forth to accomplish. You are creators who have come into this environment for the details that it evokes from you, but you are God force who insists upon alignment with the energy of your source. And it is our knowing that as you move forward from this day, never again will you feel negative emotion without blessing the importance of it. Because in the negative emotion is the indication that you are setting forth for this universe expansion. And instead of feeling a continuing of negative emotion, you're going to flip. You're going to take the bounce. You're going to feel the solution that your problem is pointed, and you're going to feel it fast. You're going to feel how we feel more often as you explore the contrast of your time-space reality. What has happened in this time that we've been together, and even though we can speak it and you cannot, and we can feel it, and maybe you're getting some of it, over the days that follow, you are going to feel the profound meaning of what we are offering here, because you have managed to activate an inside the vortex vibration with enough consistency and frequency that your point of attraction has shifted dramatically. And the lives around you, which we call physical manifestation, and you call physical manifestation, and we call manifestational indicators of vibration, are going to show it. So hold on to your hats and get ready to feel the celebration many times and every day of your newfound freedom, your newfound absence of resistance. Could not be greater love or appreciation focused at you than now. There could not be more recognition of the worthiness of that which is you than that which we feel here and now. And there could not be more eager anticipation for the manifestation that, by law, must follow as a result of what you have accomplished vibrationally as a result of this gathering. And with all of that, we say to you, you have done the work, and we have received the benefit, which is exactly the way you so lovingly set it all up when you decided to come forth. And we want you to feel the appreciation of that which you call God and that which we call all that is, for the expansion of the universe that is as a result of the beingness that is you. It is time for you to love you as we do, and reap the benefit of you as we do. There is great love here for you, and we will remain and expect as much of you eternally in the vortex. That's it. One of the most beautiful things I've ever witnessed and ever heard. Touched my heart. And with that, we're at about 7 minutes to. I'm just going to take a couple moments and thank you all for sharing this evening with me. I want to once again thank Jason B. Intricate Brierly for joining us earlier and filling us in on his journey. And thanks to all the listeners and callers, everyone who's come in. And I so appreciate your joining us tonight. My deep love and appreciation to you. Love and appreciation to Rob Goth here for bringing me in on this Enlightenment Evolution Network. And We will be back next week. Make sure you check out Rob and Daniel's websites. Find me on Consciousness Evolution 2.0 Facebook group. Find me on YouTube, Philip Malika. And shows next week, Daniel at Monday night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time. Rob at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, Pacific Time. And my show again next Thursday, same time. Love to you all. Great love and appreciation for you. Have a wonderful night. Good night.